Ruben Amorim admits it is survival football from now until this summer. Paul Pogba is offered to Manchester United. Victor Osimhen is Manchester United's top target. Quenda gets Amorim's approval, and a swap deal involving Rashford and a Bayern Munich midfielder. That's what we've got coming up in today's video as we run through all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news that we keep you right up to date with everything. Welcome to Man United Review. My name's Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video and let's jump straight into it. So let me know how you're feeling around the match, the result, the performance. Manchester United 2-2 with Everton. Going to go through, share my thoughts on that first, but I'd love your opinion. Let me know in the comments. I thought it was an absolute terrible first half. My God, just when you thought they couldn't get any worse, these players, they were like, nope, we're going to outshit ourselves and become worse than you ever kind of imagined. I thought it was absolutely pathetic, the first half. They looked like, it didn't even look like professional footballers. Couldn't pass, couldn't run. It was just absolutely all over the place for me, the first half. Onana, again, weak hands, palming the ball back into the danger area. I thought defensively we looked absolutely woeful. There was no passing. And I spoke to my brother-in-law at half-time, and we were kind of saying around it. And I was like, this can't be. We've had a week's training with Amorim, right? And I'm pretty sure during training in the week, no professional manager, whether you like Amorim or whether you don't like Amorim, right? No professional football manager, I can't imagine, trains the players to be that bad. It's got to come down to one or two things, in my opinion. It's either will or skill. They either don't want to do it because they're not, I don't know why they wouldn't want to do it, but or it's the skill. They are incapable of kind of doing it. And I don't believe it's anything to do with the formation, personally. I don't think, playing three at the back means that you can't pass the ball 5 yards, or you can't win a second ball, or you can't hold the ball up when it comes to you, or your first touch, isn't straight to the opponent, or you're kicking it out of play all the time, or you're palming it back straight into the danger area. That's got nothing to do with whether we're playing a back three or a back four, in my opinion. It's just either the players, there's just something in them where they're incapable of performing at Manchester United, or it's their skill. Will or skill, that's the kind of two things we were saying, is either they don't want to do it or they can't do it. And, because I refuse to believe that any manager sets them up that badly. And all week in training, he was blowing his whistle, on the training ground, saying, no, don't pass the ball to each other. Make sure you kick it out of play every time, or make sure you pass it 5 yards behind this player, or, when you're being pressed, panic and just kick the ball out of touch. Like, I can't for the life of me think that's what's kind of going on. So it's an inherent problem with the club and the players, in my opinion. They're just not very good players, and they haven't got the mentality or the mindset or anything to kind of play at United. I thought Casemiro was awful in midfield as well. It was like playing with 10 men. I thought the second half changed on the substitution, not because Garnacho came on and gave us a bit of energy up front, because he did, so I don't want to dismiss Garnacho's impact in the game, but also taking Casemiro off, who was effectively like having 10 men on the pitch, and dropping Bruno deeper. All of a sudden, we looked like a different team because we looked a little bit calmer on the ball, and we're kind of a little bit better, but it was not hard to be better than it was. That first half was absolutely tragic. I thought Ugarte had a good game. He was practically playing at right back because Dalot was just missing. He was up there with the worst player on the pitch. I thought absolutely terrible from Diego Dalot. It was literally like one of his worst performances, and he's meant to be in his natural position now at right back, but he was just absolutely ineffective, to the point where second half Ugarte was coming out in the right wing to try to at least add something to the kind of play style and offer something down that side. But shout out to Dorgu. I thought Dorgu probably my man of the match. I know Bruno Fernandes got it for the free kick and the kind of comeback in the second half, but he was terrible first half. Bruno absolutely awful, giving the ball away consistently. But I thought Dorgu was, for the whole 90 minutes, probably arguably our best player. And I've just give shout out to Ugarte. I thought he covered every blade of grass as normal. Like I said, he was effectively playing at right wing back at times because Dalot was that bad. He had to kind of take up his position and help the team going forward. And shout out to Chido Obi as well. What did we think of his cameo? Let me know in the comments below. I thought that he showed more in his cameo than Højlund did, who again looked absolutely awful. And I don't want to get carried away, because he's still young and raw and developing, and it wasn't like an outstanding, but it just shows what a difference somebody up front, just being able to keep the ball and pass it, would do for this team, because that is Højlund I can't remember a time when he kept the ball. I think every time the ball went to him, he either fell over, tripped himself over, or gave the ball away, and Obi didn't. I don't think he did it once when he got the ball and he laid it off nicely, and it just kind of showed a little bit around, actually, if we've got a striker up there that can hold the ball and play it off, it gives us something to build off of, and it'll massively change the team as well. And then I thought at the end, never a penalty for me. Ashley Young, once a diver, always a diver. He won us countless penalties diving, so, I'm not going to sit here and criticise him, because I would have celebrated. I did celebrate those penalties he won for us, even though he was diving, but it was good that it got kind of caught, because that was never a penalty in my opinion. But overall, it's a point. It's better than getting beaten, because I would have happily taken a point at half-time, considering how bad that first half performance was. But get involved in the comments. What were your thoughts on the game? Who do you think played well? Who do you think didn't play well? Get involved. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let's go through some comments after the game, because I felt these were really interesting as well. So Bruno Fernandes had the following to say: "We had to stick to the plan. That's what the manager was very upset with us about. In the second half, we stuck to our ideas and played with much more freedom and movement." Now, that's really interesting, because it goes back to what I was saying before. It's either will or skill with the players. They're either not willing to do what they're being told to do, or they don't have the capability and the skill to do it. And the fact that Bruno Fernandes has called it out and said, well, we just did in the second half what the manager's asking us to do, proves the point that in the first half they were doing not what the managers asked them to do. So it's one of the two. They either can't be bothered or don't know how to do it, or they haven't got the kind of capability to do it. And, we've got some good players, like international players. I refuse to believe that they can't pass the ball 5 yards to each other. So there's something kind of going on. The lack of quality in the squad is evident for anyone to see, especially in that first half performance. But again, Bruno kind of confirming the manager was upset with us because we stuck to our ideas. And that kind of shows that actually, the manager's ideas can work if the players are willing to put the effort in. Ruben Amorim himself said exactly the same thing. We played a first half, managed to take a point. We played a half and managed to take a point. We didn't exist in the first half. We lost balls that we shouldn't lose. At halftime, I said that we will do what we did during the week, regardless of the result. More energy. There was no change in position, but our quality. And again, Amorim kind of saying they're training well. They're doing what I'm asking them to do in training. But when it comes to match day, they just can't do it. It's absolutely, he must be pulling his hair out, Amorim, because he's like, hold on, who on earth's told you how to do this or taught you how to play this way? Because he's clearly not doing it himself. Just really kind of bad. But again, point's a point. And then Amorim also said that we need to survive this season. That is clear. And then to think ahead. So Amorim himself kind of saying, look, we just need to get through the rest of these games in this season, not get relegated, and then reassess and kind of rebuild. Because if anything I take away from the day, like Dorgu, I thought was fantastic and kind of give us an extra dimension down that left-hand side. Yes, he needs to improve his quality, and it's only his third game for United, but I thought he was really, really good, and we need to get more players like that. Better recruitment, shift on some of these players that are just not fit for United. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Now let's go through some transfer news. So Paul Pogba has been offered to Manchester United and is keen on a return. The club did discuss internally with some for and some against. The player would not accept a pay-as-you-play contract. Now that came from United Scout, who are normally quite decent when it comes to United news and youth players and stuff going on, injury updates and stuff as well. However, Ruben Amorim himself in his press conference was asked directly if he thought about bringing in free transfers due to the injuries. He said, no, we have young players. We work with young players. We really need to focus on that. While we have, at the moment, a lot of injuries, we need to use the young players. Otherwise, they don't have the space to improve and show themselves. I think we really need to focus on the young players and for the future of our club because of the history and the reality of our club as well. So Ruben Amorim kind of dismissing the idea potentially of bringing back Paul Pogba, even though United Scout has said that he's been offered to United because he wants to bring through the youth players. And I do think he needs to get a little bit braver, but then circumstances are, if we're losing or if in that moment in the second half, 2-1, and then you bring Cheetah on, do you know what I mean? I was begging the ball to fall to him in the penalty area so he could go on and score the winner. Like, how nice would that have been? But obviously wasn't to be. But yeah, that's the kind of latest regarding Paul Pogba. Now, Manchester United have identified Victor Osimhen as their top target ahead of the summer transfer window, and Old Trafford recruitment chiefs are not allowing their focus to stray, despite Chelsea showing interest in alternative target Victor Gyökeres. Manchester United have decided to prioritise signing Victor Osimhen. Osimhen is currently on more than £250,000 per week, and United are hopeful of convincing him to take a pay cut to fit him into their salary structure. And that came from Dean Jones, who's a decent source of information, writes for Gimme Sports, regarding Victor Osimhen, which is really interesting, saying that he is apparently, according to that report, our top target. There's loads of links with Victor Osimhen. I personally would still want to see a little bit more credibility regarding the Osimhen situation. But interesting that he's on £250,000 a week and we want him to take a pay cut, kind of similar to what De Ligt did. Would he want to do that is a massive, question mark, especially if the other reports are saying PSG and Chelsea, probably amongst other clubs around the world. Was he not close to joining the Saudi Pro League as well? So obviously they're going to be able to offer him a lot more than what we will in terms of wages. And I think that'll be the stumbling point with Victor Osimhen, is the salary, plus the fact if we're not in Europe at all, and the kind of, the position of the club and stuff will have a decided factor. But I do think there's no smoke without fire when it comes to potentially us, looking at Osimhen, because why would we not be? Fantastic striker. I would just want to see a bit more credibility. And if we're asking players to take pay cuts, how realistic is that? Yeah, I'm not so sure, but let me know what you think in the comments. Geovany Quenda has been on Man United's list for months, and this remains the case. He has been directly approved by Ruben Amorim. Now, that came from Fabrizio Romano, so the more likely player we are going to, looks likely we're going to be getting in the summer, is Geovany Quenda. And I couldn't help thinking today, with all the reports, like how nice would it have been to have Quenda on the right wing-back position instead of Diego Dallo, and you can kind of see that formation or the shape kind of, taking a look, because he's a fantastic attacking player, obviously knows the system and stuff as well. And I was thinking, God, it would be nice to maybe kind of see what that's all about. But yeah, I was thinking that today. Do you know what I mean? How nice would it have been to actually have a right wing back, because Dallo's just been non-existent for months now. I know he's been playing out of position, but now his is meant to be his chance to shine, play him at right back in his best position. And I think he's been terrible. But Geovany Quenda, again, definitely no smoke without fire with Quenda. I do think there's clear interest there as well. So yeah, that's going to be one to keep an eye on. Manchester United are exploring a potential swap deal involving Bayern Munich midfielder Alexander Pavlovic and Marcus Rashford. United view Pavlovic as a key figure that they could build their squad around in the coming years. Now, that came from Jack Talbot, who's a decent source of information as well for Manchester United, suggesting that potentially United are looking at swapping Rashford for Pavlovic, which, swap deals don't happen in football, so it would be, they buy Rashford, we buy Pavlovic. They always kind of put it down as swap deals, but swap deals never happen in football. Very, very rare anyway, where you just do like a direct swap. So obviously it would be they buy Rashford and we buy Pavlovic. Really interesting profile of player, actually. Would kind of fit the mold of being young, developmental, up and coming, 20 years old, is a CDM, so he's a defensive midfielder, 2-footed as well, lovely kind of passer of the ball. So if you wanted somebody to come in to play next to Ugarte and be that kind of dictator and that tempo maker, like we've seen kind of Bruno do, like a little bit today, actually, I felt in the second half, he was getting on the ball a lot and kind of making those passes. When he does that and he's on form, Bruno's a really good player in that position, but it's just more often than not, he gives the ball away or he rushes things, or if he's not having a bad day, he has a very bad day. But someone like Pavlovic would be really interesting to bring in there. He's not the most, look at his numbers there. He's not, in terms of, he's a CDM. He's not one that's going to score goals or create chances or anything. But look at his passes. Top 96 for passes attempted, top 99 for passes completed, and top 97% are for progressive passes as well. Obviously, you've got to bear in mind he does play for Bayern Munich in a league where they probably are a lot more dominant on the ball. So that's maybe why some of his other stats are not as high as what you would expect, like tackles and stuff, because obviously Bayern Munich are going to be a ball-dominant team in that league. But really interesting profile. I'd want to see way more credibility, though, regarding that, even though Jack Talbot is decent when it comes to United. I'd still want to see a lot more information, plus the fact that swap deals are very rare. But who knows? One to keep an eye on for the summer. And let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.